The irony is, when our country gets in tough straits with the rest of the world, we're disinclined to travel, when that's the worst thing we could do. Since 9/12, it's occurred to me, it is critical that Americans keep traveling. There's a lot of fear rattling around in our society. Have you noticed lately how many people are pushing fear? Fear is for people who don't get out much. And if somebody's trying to make you afraid, they've got an agenda, and it's not a good one. I have found that the flip side of fear is understanding. Many, many times I've been afraid. And what I do is I get on an airplane and I go there and I find out the media was messing around with me, you see. I want to know what it's like from personal experience. It's a beautiful thing. Now, when I give this talk, Travel as a Political Act, it's a little bit odd because I got the mic and I can just sort of, tell you how it is. But I'm actually I'm keenly aware of the fact that everybody, I just assume in this room, cares. No, I don't care more than other people. Everybody cares. Everybody has a different worldview. And everybody addresses these challenges according to their worldview, their life. The difference between my worldview and most people's worldview is I've spent a third of my life hanging out with people who find different truths to be self-evident and God-given. People who don't think the world is a pyramid with us on top and everybody else trying to get there. Until well into my adulthood, I really saw the world that way. It's a pyramid, we got it figured out, everybody else is trying to do it. They've all got the American dream, but some of them just have bad governments. And I really believed until well into my adulthood that if a country didn't get it, we, because we care and we're so good, would have every right to go in and elect them a government that did understand it our way. And then I realized you travel around the world and smart people see things differently. And that's a beautiful thing. That's something to celebrate. Not to be threatened by that, but to celebrate it. So what I want to share with you today is just some ideas about how travel has shaken up my ethnocentrism and turned me from a unilateralist to an enthusiastic multilateralist. And when you hear people talking about exceptionalism, you're going to hear a lot of that coming up in political discourse in our country lately. Exceptionalism. That means this 4% of the planet, we Americans, are more exceptional than everybody else. That is dangerous thinking. To me, that is wrong thinking, and it is not what we're all about. I want to, be thankful and proud of who we are, but to respect and acknowledge that the rest of the world can teach us a few things, and it's just good to get to know everybody. Now, as a travel, and by the way, we're going to go for about an hour, and then I think we'll take a 5-minute stretch. If you want to buy those raffle tickets, that would be a good time to do that. If you're wondering about should I be taking notes, if you're a student, I guess, yes, you should be. But if you're just want to sit back and relax, I'm just kind of covering what's in this book, all right? So this is just a lively version of this book. And the book, your local bookstore has the book at a pretty good discount back there, $15 including tax. And it can get autographed, and that'll make it worth $15, including tax. I'll be around afterwards and autograph 2 books. Okay, but all the information's in there. I set out to write this book, by the way, thinking I could just give my talk to the book, but it was terrible reading. So what I did was I deconstructed this talk, and I put it back into the actual travel experiences from where I learned those ideas, and I think it works much better. So the book is sort of field studies and what I'm talking about in situ, where I learned those things. Now, and most of my anecdotes and so on are from Europe, because that's my beat. I teach people how to travel through Europe. And I see Europe as the wading pool for world exploration. My favorite country is India, right? I'd much rather go to Sri Lanka or Nepal or Indonesia or Thailand than Europe. But my work is Europe. That's the big market. That's where Americans go first, where they realize there's more to life than vacationing in Hawaii or Florida or Baja California, and you can actually go to countries that speak different languages and so on. It's just really the springboard. Once you do Europe and have a good time, then you're more likely to go to South Asia or whatever. So my experience and most of my examples will be in Europe. My job as a travel writer is to bring home the magic. I need to make Europe travel magic. And there's so many wonders that you can experience if you're a good traveler. I mean, there's natural wonders. We have natural thrills here, especially in the Northwest. But the nice thing about Europe's natural wonders is they're so accessible. You can ride the lift up and have breakfast in a revolving restaurant on top of the mountain and then walk out on the ridge. I'm quick to do that. I love to get up there sweat-free and then spend the whole day on a ridge. tight roping on a ridge. I mean, imagine this, 3 hours walking on a ridge like this. On one side, you got lakes stretching all the way to Germany. On the other side, you got the most incredible alpine panorama anywhere, the Eigermonk and Jungfrau, cut glass alpine peaks. And ahead of you, you hear the long legato tones of an Alp horn, announcing that the helicopter-stocked mountain hut is open. It's just around the corner and the coffee schnapps is on. Wow, that's a good travel moment, and anybody can have that. And then when you come home, you actually have a better affinity and enthusiasm, I think, for nature. Culture really is exciting when you travel. Now, I, for 25 years, was a tour guide, and I have psychoanalyzed this, and a lot of good Americans are threatened by people who are enthusiastic about things that we didn't know you could be enthusiastic about. And we draw back, and we think, are you telling me stinky cheese is important? We fought and died for your freedoms, and I'm not going to let you tell me that my cheese is less than your cheese. You know, and people take offense to that. And it's not they're better than us. It's third grade show and tell in an international sort of arena. They're enthusiastic about this. It's fun. It's a celebration. Cheese is a great example. When you go to France, they are evangelical about cheese. Cheese was no big deal for me. I grew up thinking cheese is orange in the shape of the bread. There you go, cheese. You step into this shop here in Paris, and it's a festival of mold. And I have these great friends that take me shopping with them. They run restaurants, and I just love going shopping with them. And I'm their little bumpkin, and they just want to turn me on to all these great things about the cuisine. And my friend Marie-Elise would take a piece of cheese, a big moldy wad, take a deep whiff. Oh, Rick, smell this cheese. It smells like the feet of angels. Come on. Well, you know, maybe she's that into cheese. I think that's really fun to find that different people are enthused about different things. I became really enthusiastic about history because of my travels. In fact, I remember waking up in the dorm one morning at the University of Washington, and it occurred to me, you know, I almost have a history degree. I got my history degree like accidentally. I had 7 history classes before I knew I was going to be a historian, 3 more classes, and I got the degree. It was just storytelling. They were giving me credits for this. It was so much fun because I had been there, and I wanted to know more about Napoleon or the Reformation or the Inquisition or whatever that was being taught. And you go to Europe, and the history is meaningful. As a tour guide, it is my challenge to help people be inspired to take history as a joy, seriously. Not something just in the past, but we're part of history today. It's unfolding all around us. 100 years ago, they'll write books about this decade in America, in Europe, and it's going to be fascinating stuff. History. We're there. When you travel, give yourself opportunity and permission to get caught up in the history. An example is here in Berlin. I was in Berlin, happened to be there on opening day of their new parliament building. This is exciting if you're into European history. Of course, you know, through most of our lifetimes, Germany was divided, government and Bonn. Suddenly, the wall's down, Germany's united, the government goes from Bonn back to Berlin, and they have this bombed out hulk of a parliament building on no man's land, on the wall, right? That was the Reichstag building. Now, all of a sudden, they need a new parliament building. In good European style, they don't bulldoze the burned out building, they renovate the historic building and incorporate a modern architectural element into its top. And this is their new parliament building. It's free. It's open long hours, designed primarily for Germans, but tourists are more than welcome to walk up that spiral ramp to the very top and literally look down over the shoulders of their legislators. Powerful architectural symbolism. Now those German parliamentarians, those German congresspeople, are going to know that their electorate is up there looking down on them. Those people have been jerked around too much in the last century, and they're going to keep an eye on their politicians physically this way. I was up there on top of that brand new dome on opening day, surrounded by teary-eyed Germans. Now, anytime you're surrounded by teary-eyed Germans, something exceptional is going on. And it occurred to me, wow, this is a very important moment, a symbolic turning point in the history of a great nation. With the opening of this great new parliament building, it was the symbolic closing of an ugly chapter in the history of these people. No more division, no more war, no more communism, no more fascism. A united country with a new Capitol building, entering a new century filled with promise and hope. Wow, and most of those teary eyes were old enough to remember their city, Berlin, literally not 2 bricks standing on top of each other. I mean, from the early 50s and late 40s when it was bombed out after World War II. What an exciting place to be. And I looked around at the other American tourists up there, And none of them had a clue of how exciting it was. They were just wondering, why didn't they air condition this place properly, and where can I get a Coke, and my battery's running low. And it just saddened me. I remember thinking up there, I thought, I am living in a dumbed down society. And I just thought, in my own little world, I'm not going to accept that. As a travel writer, I'm going to expect my travelers, my viewers, my listeners, my readers to be smarted up rather than dumbed down. I want them to be engaged. Powerful forces find it convenient if we're just dumbed down. Just go shopping. And the challenges confronting us are too important for us to let other people do the thinking. We cannot stand in our own little worlds, whatever your niche in life is, to dumb people down or let them dumb us down. We can smart each other up. It's a beautiful thing. In travel, it goes against the grain. The travel industry is not into thoughtful travel. They're into duty-free shopping, frequent flyer miles, fun in the sun. What's the power of your sunscreen, all right? Now that's not bad in itself, but if that robs you from the opportunity to grow in your travels, then I think it's a problem.